If you all had done what I asked you to do, I promise you there wouldn't be a cut in TOPS in my executive budget proposal this year.
I believe that there are other opportunities to reduce the budget and would really appreciate the fact that, if you all would spend the time to really drill down and look at those.
And those were the words of Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards this week. The governor arguing lawmakers failed to come up with solutions quickly, and now the state faces a $1 billion shortfall.
And he wants a new sales tax to help ease the shortfall, but other lawmakers say this might not be the best option. And you heard kind of an extreme option from the governor there. He proposed a worst-case scenario budget, including cuts to state universities, plus 80% cut to the TOPS scholarship program.
And joining us now on the phone to give us his take on the possible cuts and the impact on universities is UL System President Dr. Jim Henderson. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Henderson. First, give us your opinion of the TOPS cuts proposal that the governor laid out this week.
Well, first I think you need to understand that the governor is very limited in cuts he can propose, I think, to areas of the budget that are not statutorily or constitutionally protected. And so, higher education and health care are always exposed. A $233 million cut to TOPS, 80% cut, would, in my view, would be unconscionable. These students have worked hard to be eligible for TOPS. I think the state of Louisiana owes them the fulfillment of the promise of TOPS.
No, you also called it a betrayal of those hardworking students. Do you feel like he's using the state education system, higher education system, as a scare tactic? And if so, how do you feel about that he goes, well, we're just going to do this if you guys can't figure it out?
I will tell you, this last legislative session, because of the leadership of the governor and because of the leadership of the legislature came along with this. They championed higher education, and so colleges and universities were held stable, and TOPS was fully funded for the first time in a decade. So I think that shows the general commitment to talent development that's held by both the governor and the legislature. So I don't know, tactics I'm not sure about. I just know that our budget is structured. You have a very limited amount of the budget that's actually open to be reduced. And so when the executive budget is produced, it is limited to those areas that aren't statutorily or constitutionally protected. I think at the end of the day, our argument for talent development, for human development, for community development is going to win, and TOPS will be fully funded. We just have to get the message out.
Dr. Henderson, if, and it's a big if, this proposed plan goes through with the 80% cut to TOPS, could we see more of our students here in Louisiana going to schools in Texas and Arkansas? I think someone mentioned that yesterday. So we're going to be losing a large base of national merit scholars, perhaps, and people that normally get those scholarships.
Oh, you're going to lose a lot of the best and brightest of our Louisiana students. Those that are mobile, that do have opportunities out of state, will go. The other impact, though, is going to be on those existing students, those students that have already chosen a Louisiana university, that already have developed roots in our state, that are going to our institutions, that want to stay in Louisiana. Those are the ones that are going to really feel the impact. And many of those students are place-bound. They have no other option than Louisiana University. But when you ask them to come up with another $4,000 a year to fund their education, that's simply out of their reach. We cannot default on this promise we've made to students. I can't say that enough.
It just seems like each year this keeps coming up. At least the last 2 or 3 years, we've talked fiscal cliff. And it's always medical. It's always or Department of Health and Services, education. It's the punching bag for us to get through this because there's not dedicated funds to it like all these other ones that are protected. Do you ever, I mean, you're the top guy in the state when it comes to the University of Louisiana System Schools. What kind of, do you get his ear? Do you get a one-on-one with the governor to sit there and say, come on, we've got to figure this out? Did you ever have that kind of an opportunity?
I have, and he's been very receptive to those conversations. I think he's a real friend to education, as a number of members of the delegation, even those that might be opposed to him. They all support talent development. And when you look at what's happening across the state, just in your viewing area, you look at Louisiana Tech has its highest enrollment since it opened its doors in 1894. Grambling is well over 5,000 students for the first time in some time. Northwestern State has its highest enrollment since it opened its doors in 1884. The market is demanding more and more talented students, more educated students. Universities of Louisiana are responding to that, and the sheer stability has enabled us to plan to produce the most educated generation of Louisianans in our history. We cannot take a step back now.
We've been seeing some record number enrollments statewide here. So, all right, Dr. Henderson, we appreciate it. We're going to give you 5 seconds for old time's sake. Being the former head guy out at Northwestern State, you can give them one last fork 'em.
Hey, always fork 'em demons.
All right.
All
Dr.
right.
Henderson,
Can't
great to
forget
talk to
about
you again.
Bipsy either.
Oh, yeah, Bipsy, too. He's got a lot of roots here in the Northwest Louisiana area. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Henderson.